Flow, the Psychology of Optimal Experience, offers the best explanation that I have heard yet as to when and why we interpret our actions to be meaningful. Knowing when and why we perceive our actions to be meaningful also offers the best explanation I have heard so far as to why you should pursue a life of hard work. So, let's get after it.
The bottom line is,
read a book, people.
Flow was written by Mihaly, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, a Hungarian-American psychologist who is famous for coining the term, you guessed it, flow. He served as the head of the Department of Psychology for the University of Chicago and the head of both sociology and anthropology at Lake Forest College. So lots of heads, I guess the dude knows his stuff. But what is flow? We've all experienced flow at some point or another, but sometimes flow states do go unnoticed. The subtitle of the book describes it as optimal experience, although there are nuances to the flow state, which I'll discuss later in the video. The best way I can describe flow is when you are so absorbed in an activity that you start to lose track of time. More specifically, the deepest moments of flow occur when your mind and body are stretched to their limits. The utility in knowing what produces a flow state could be beneficial for somebody who is really trying to figure out what they want to do in life. Try and recognize when you experience flow and note why and how you're experiencing it. The flow state breaks down into 3 components. 1 is that you have to have a clear goal. 2, there must be clear rules surrounding what you're doing. And 3 is that you need to receive immediate feedback. So sports, for example, are great examples of flow activities. They have clear goals, like scoring more points than the other team, rules that dictate how you can score points, and feedback on your performance is given in many forms, whether it's keeping score, the amount of penalties committed, or awards received. The power of the 3 aspects of flow is that they can be applied to anything. If there's an activity that's lacking in one of those 3 aspects, it may be possible for you to identify that and then implement that particular aspect that's lacking. We occasionally do this when we find a task to be so boring that we try and make some sort of game out of it. Have you ever made a game out of a task that isn't exciting to you? I think kids do this all the time, and maybe that's why being a kid is so fun. They see lots of things as games and can produce flow states that way. As adults, there are systems that are built into our society that are there for the purpose of getting us to adopt responsibility for even the most mundane tasks that don't seem so fun. The view that work undertaken as a flow activity is the best way to fulfill human potentialities has been proposed often enough in the past by various religious and philosophical systems. To people imbued with the Christian worldview of the Middle Ages, it made sense to say that peeling potatoes was just as important as building a cathedral, provided they were both done for the greater glory of God. We've now defined what flow is and the optimal conditions in which it's produced. But flow is only one side of a coin. To view the other, we have to look at leisure activities. Do you think that people are in flow more often at work or when they're experiencing a leisure activity? The author answered that question by conducting a study in which over 100 men and women wore a pager for 1 week. Now, this book was written in 1991, so we're working with pagers here. The pagers beeped 8 times a day at random. When they beeped, people wrote down the number of challenges they saw in that moment and the number of skills they felt they were using. The person was counted as being in flow when he or she marked both the level of challenges and the skills that they were using at that time to be above the mean level for the week. Over 4,800 responses were documented, and of those 4,800 responses, 33% were categorized as being in a flow state. People in flow felt strong, active, creative, focused, and motivated. Now, if we take just the responses that were in flow and we look at how those responses are subdivided, we saw that 54% of all of the flow responses actually came when people were at work. Outside of work, when people engaged in activities that we would classify as leisure activities like reading, watching TV, going to a restaurant with friends, things like that, people only reported that they were in flow 18% of the time. These leisure responses were typically in the range of what the book calls apathy. Apathy is categorized by below average levels of both challenges and skills. In this condition, people tend to say they feel weak, dull, dissatisfied. The results reveal the real paradox of work. On the job, people feel creative, challenged, stronger, and in consequence, they feel happier. In their free time, whether that's at home, out and about, or wherever, people claim to feel that there's generally not much to do, so they're not using cognitive skills, physical skills,
nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
So they feel sad, weak, and dissatisfied. People say they like to spend more time in leisure than they do at work. Now that we know more about the settings that produce both flow and apathy, we can understand what I think is actually the most important point from the book. But before I get to that, if you found some value from this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below to let me know your thoughts. If you read the book, I wanna know. I wanna know what you thought. For me, it kind of unlocked a lot of the answers I was looking for as to why you should pursue a life of meaning and why you should work. If you're enjoying this review, fantastic. If there's anything I can do to improve on, please let me know. I'd love to make better videos for you guys. I'm always looking to improve. And as always, please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content. But let's get back to the action. The most important concept that I got out of this book, part of it is that we constantly live in a state of chaos. A lot of information is coming at us, and I think we know that. But what I didn't realize is that our default psychological state is one of entropy. Entropy is our normal state of consciousness. It's not useful and it's not enjoyable. We have a lot to think about in our lives, and life can come at us really fast. We also have a lot that we want to achieve. Goals that are important to us, goals that, if pursued properly and achieved, will bring order to our consciousness. And I'm not just talking psychology out my ass here. Like, the book talks about bringing order to consciousness quite a lot. It's a concept that is central to the theme of the book. Entropy, the disorder we feel all of the time when random information interferes with our goals, is our default state of mind. Gripping stress in the palm of our hand is our default position, and we find it very hard to actually open our hand and let the stress go. And that's partly why people meditate or do yoga or go to church. Taking control of your mind is a learned skill, and those activities can help us do that. Now, I want to mention a few quotes from the book that will touch on this point and then help bring us home. The difference between someone who enjoys life and someone who is overwhelmed by it is a product of a combination of such external factors and the way a person has come to interpret them. That is, whether he sees challenges as threats or as opportunities for action. People who learn to control inner experience will be able to determine the quality of their lives, which is as close as any of us can come to being happy. The battle is not really against the self, but against the entropy that brings disorder to consciousness. It's really a battle for the self. It's a struggle for establishing control over attention. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. If you did, please again smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.